Good evening, NorCal Carters. It is Thursday, May 21st, and tonight we have Andy Seesemann back on with us, and he's with ChallengeKarting.com, and we are going to talk about his upcoming event in Phoenix on June 19th and 20th, and it's actually going to be a night event, so this should be pretty exciting. Andy, thanks for joining us.
Oh, you bet, Jace. Thanks for having me on again. We're on time number 3 now since February.
A total cumulative hours of 6 hours.
Yeah, well, I don't know about all that, but yeah, I think Gary's been on the most, and I'm second. So
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think you're right.
He's like the Steve Martin, and I'm the Tom Hanks of Saturday Night Live, right? Were those the two most ever? I can't remember what the Tom Hanks and somebody else were the most hosted, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what can I say? I like having you on, and you're sticking your neck out there, and you're hosting an event on June 19th and 20th in Phoenix at Phoenix Kart Racing Association, and it's going to be a night event. Let's talk about it.
All right, well, it was time. I mean, certainly people want to get out and race. I mean, we've been literally shut down. We have not had an event in California, basically since the end of February. End of February.
Yeah, I remember that.
Everything. Yeah, me too, right? I mean, everything got shut down, like the 12th of March, and I don't think there was much going on the first weekend of March. Maybe there was, maybe there wasn't, but that was pretty quiet. It's pretty early in the season. So, yeah, it's been, it'll be almost 90 days between events, maybe more. So it was time. And, I looked around, and obviously the CRC stands for California Rock Championship, and of course, people have given me the little jab that, well, you're going to Phoenix. It's not really the California Rock Championship. And what are you going to do? So it's a great facility. It's a great club. They've hosted us for many years. And let's be honest, Arizona is way ahead of California in all this stuff right now. That was an easy choice.
Yeah, I got to be careful how I say this, but, I'm on Facebook a little bit, and there were a couple of people complaining that the tracks that were open just weren't close enough to them. And I'm sorry, the track is no longer 12 minutes from your doorstep, but all of this is kind of out of our control. And, everyone in the industry is trying to adapt and do what they can. And it's California Rock Championship, but, we're going to have a special event. And a lot of people are looking forward to it. You posted on Facebook that you had your shipment come in of engines, and what, you have one left, or they're all sold out now, or what was the deal?
Yeah, with the shifters. I mean, the two I can't keep in stock. I mean, Rock basically has 4 engines, right? You have the Mini Rock, the VLR 100cc, the GP, which is the 125 water-cooled bag, and then the shifter. The shifter and the VLR are the hot sellers right now, for whatever reason, and I can't keep it in stock. It's great. I mean, I order engines, 12 to 15 at a time, and I try to stay ahead. Because, we have, several dealers. I mean, there's, you work for one, and there's several other competitors you have up there, and there's dealers down here, and I go into Arizona, Nevada, and Utah, and the Pacific Northwest, Oregon and Washington. So, I mean, I have a fairly big territory. So there's a lot of dealers we have to make sure we service. And there's areas that are pushing hard. And, I just got caught off guard. I mean, the shifter business is exploding again. It's crazy. People really enjoy the Rock shifter. It's certainly turned out to be the shifter package of choice in the United States. Yesterday I literally got the shipment in at 1:30, and by 2:30 we were putting labels on 5 of the 6 engines that came in on my shipment to go out the door. So it's pretty funny, but I immediately had to get on the website on the OTT and the Rock system last night and order another 15 engines. So and that's, look, after 4 weeks of not doing $1 of business between from say mid-March to mid-April, to things starting to trickle at the end of April, early May, to now selling all my engines in a span of an hour, or basically having people waiting for them. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining at all.
Yeah, no, it's it is kind of weird how the whole thing's kind of hit our industry, and for those that are in need of engines, there's a particular Swedish engine builder out there that has the shifter and the VLR in stock and some GPs. Just saying.
There you go. Way to abuse your platform. Good job.
Yes. Well, they're not the headline sponsor yet.
I got you.
No, that's great. I mean, you weren't waiting for stuff to happen. It's like, okay, we got to get these engines here because the phones are going to start ringing. And we're seeing it here in NorCal. We had, between Central and Northern California, there were 4 tracks that were open. And this past weekend, Dixon, the Kinsman Kart Club, they're opening up to their members. Unfortunately, the bugs, I don't know if you're aware of the no-see-em bugs out there.
I've heard of it. I've never, we talked on one of the, I think last time, Dixon, Davis, I've never been to either of those tracks, but I've heard about the no-see-ems. I've heard about the plague of bugs that happened there.
Yeah, and they're just kind of a pain in the ass. They're like these little gnat things that are almost microscopic, but some people are allergic to them, and they'll just hang out like on the cuffs of your driving suit or on your socks or sandals, and they just slowly nibble. But then when you're driving on a bad day, it's like you're driving through constant spider webs, and they get in your helmet, and it's just not enjoyable.
I got you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, it reminds me of on a different scale, but back in 1998, here we go. I'll tell one of the back in my day stories. But back in '98, the ICAF Nationals were at Xplex, the track that's been bulldozed in Vegas, Sloan.
Yep, in Sloan.
And they had a crazy winter where Vegas actually got more rain than it should have, just an unseasonable rain. So by the time we got there in August, they had this plague of grasshoppers, and we show up for the Nationals, the IKF Grand Nationals, when back when those events were huge, right? 400 or 500 entries, and they run 12 or 15 classes, but they'd have 4. I mean, I raced in senior sportsman and senior superbox, and each of those classes had 50 guys in it, right? I mean, 15 guys went home, didn't make the main, but we're racing and we're practicing. By the time we raced, it was finally done, but the plague of grasshoppers was so bad that the track was almost like ice because there were dead grasshoppers everywhere. You're slipping and sliding on grasshoppers. And you come out and they'd be covered in your body work and your suit and your helmet. Oh, it was just gross. But it was just crazy, right? So think of that when you're talking about, except, 1 to 2 inch long grasshoppers.
Yeah. Yeah, but we just deal with it, right? I mean, do you want to race or don't you? And
right, it is what it is. Actually,
I don't mind the conditions when it's the same for everybody.
Right.
That's just the hand we were dealt. So the tracks. What are you hearing in SoCal as far as tracks starting to open?
As we talked last time, the independents. We don't have any club-owned tracks down here like you have. Oh, well, Santa Maria is club-owned, but it's kind of in the middle. It's in between us. Where you have Dixon and Davis that are kind of club-owned, and Reading, and then you have Reno, if you call it. We'll call that NorCal, since it's a little over the border. So those are club-owned. So obviously they kind of run under different rules. I think they can kind of open if they call it a private club, yada yada yada. And I think Santa Maria's been doing that. They're a private club, so if you're a member, you pay a fee and you get a key to the gate. So those folks can get in, but I can't call and bring a trailer with people to just come practice. Not yet, anyway. Willow has been open just for testing. They haven't had a race event there yet. I'm still waiting to hear from them when they're going to be able to do that. Buttonwillow the same. Now they had a VARA auto racing event at Button Willow last weekend, and I sent an email to them this week. I'm waiting to hear back feedback on that. Adams is still doing practice and say fun races, kind of under the radar. Hey, we're gonna have, if you show up and you have 100cc, we're gonna throw a green flag and you guys can go race. So tracks are starting to open a little bit. Obviously, Cal Speed's the gates are still locked, just like up there. Sonoma's, the gates are still locked. You know, the corporate-owned tracks are going to be the hardest ones. They're going to be the ones that have all the lawyers worried about liability and probably, you know, be afraid to open, you know, as long as they can hold out.
Yeah, no, that's we talked about that before as well. It seems like those will be the last tracks to open, and it kind of makes it hard for someone like you to give people answers like, hey, when are we going to go race? It's like, well, these are the tracks that are open. And Pat's Acres up in Canby, they had a race last weekend, and it looks like they had a pretty good draw for that event. And yeah, time will tell, right?
They did. And they got a little bad press from a local media outlet. I think Chris Egger and I, the owner, are very close. You know, long time karting family, obviously. And Chris used to work for me, and his daughter still does, Maddie. And our sons actually went to college together this past year. So I mean, we know them very well. And you know, Chris called all the right people, put the event together, said we'll take a shot, and then gave one media outlet access to it, and they said nice things. Another media outlet, he said, you know, I have who I want here, no thanks. And then that media outlet basically blasted him, wrote a thing, you know, said nobody was there to enforce it, how dare they, you know, yada, yada, yada. The typical.
Yeah, I read the article. It was typical media, just stirring up.
Yeah, just mind your own damn business, right? I mean, that's been the craziest thing about all this. What's the term? The Karens? Is that the woman's name they use? The neighborhood tattletale, the neighborhood nosy body. They call them Karens, right? Have you heard that term?
Yeah, I've seen the name going around social media. I didn't. I still haven't even watched Tiger King, so I'm out on all that stuff.
Me neither. Me neither.
I mean, even though the day job is a little slow, I still have plenty of stuff to do. So,
right.
I see it floating around. Yeah, the Karens. Don't be a Karen.
So just the Karens of the world, and I feel sorry for everybody, every woman named Karen. We're not pointing out at you, but you know, those Karens of the world that are just so interested in what everybody else is doing, or you know, when we were 8 years old, we called them tattletales, and now they're called Karens, I guess.
That's right. Yeah, so that's kind of unfortunate for Chris because I don't know, it's not affecting anybody else but the people that were there. Let him be.
And then it sounds like that. I mean, they had about 100 entries, and they had 4 cycles to tags to shifters. And,
yep.
You know, obviously, I know there's RPG is based up there, so he had a good contingent, and they have a nice local program. I don't think Pat's Acres really does have a local program because there's other tracks that kind of focus on that. But people were ready to go, and he was willing to open the door. So just like Phoenix this past weekend, they had a club race. They had almost 100. So I mean, people are ready to race. They're certainly ready to race.
Yeah, and I want everyone listening that is planning on attending your event, please have understanding and patience because this is going to be new for Andy. It's going to be new for the track. It's going to be new for all the teams, the individuals. Why don't you shed some light on some of the things the racers and teams can expect for your event? And let's give a quick shout out. You were on EKN earlier today for an actual video podcast. You did a killer job there. And you did highlight some of the stuff on EKN, but let's go a little bit more in depth on that.
Okay, well, for sure. So, I was at PKRA this past weekend. I saw, they had a written plan that they had to give to the county because they are on county land. So, and that's, to backtrack a little bit, that's one of the reasons why I chose PKRA. One is they're open as legitimately can be, right? It's not a handshake deal. It's not an under the radar deal. It's not we sort of have permission deal.